Purdy Peacock. Purdy Peacock was hatched from an egg and raised on a beautiful farm with lots of green grass, a big vegetable garden, flowers and flowering bushes, and fruit trees. Purdy loved walking around the beautiful farm and playing with his other peafowl friends and family. He had a nice, big, golden-colored barn to sleep in at night. Each morning he would wake up and fly down from his bed high up in the barn. Then he would walk outside to eat breakfast. He would go to the mulberry tree and nibble on the delicious fruit that had fallen to the ground. Then he would go to the garden and eat cabbage and tomato worms. It was so much fun to chase the frogs and watch them hop around. After breakfast, Purdy loved to sit in the shade of the lovely flowering bushes. The flowers smelled so nice, and they were such pretty colors that sometimes he could just not resist taking a bite out of them for a snack. For lunch, he would go to the fruit orchard and see if any of the pretty, red, delicious cherries had fallen to the ground. When the peaches and apples were ripe, Purdy would jump high into the air and try to take a little bite out of them. He just couldn't wait until the fruit fell to the ground to eat it. After lunch, it was time to take a nap in the flower garden. The flowers would move in the breeze, and he would fall asleep. He had a great dream. He dreamed of his beautiful green farm with all of its shade trees and pretty flowering bushes. He dreamed of the garden and how he would nibble a few baby plants. Then he would eat the red, ripe tomatoes and eat the bugs from the cabbage, potatoes, and peppers. Oh, and he couldn't forget how much fun he had chasing the crickets, spiders, and frogs. He loved his life on the farm. All of a sudden, he was awakened from his dreaming to the sound of a loud roar. Purdy and his family were so afraid that they started running around frantically, not knowing what was happening. They ran to the safety of their barn and couldn't believe what they saw. It was the biggest bird they had ever seen. Only it was not a bird. It was a helicopter. The helicopter was flying back and forth over the nearby field. Purdy did not know what was going on. That evening and the next morning, Purdy didn't feel well, and neither did the rest of his family. Purdy was determined to find out what was making them sick. Purdy forced himself to have his regular breakfast of mulberries, but that didn't make him feel any better. In fact, eating them made him feel worse, and he didn't know why. His mother and friends had been sitting on their nest of eggs when they saw the helicopter. Their babies did not hatch from the eggs, but died. Purdy's family was so sad, and they cried and cried. What was it that the helicopter had done to make them all sick and kill their babies? Purdy was going to find out. When Purdy started walking around his farm, he noticed that the beautiful flowering bushes and flowers in his flower garden were all turning brown and dying. He couldn't believe his eyes. Just yesterday, everything was green, and the flowers were such a pretty mix of colors. Whatever could have happened? Next, he went to the garden. The tomatoes and all of the other vegetables were turning brown and dying too. What had happened to his beautiful farm? Purdy asked his rabbit friends if they knew what had happened, but they did not. So the rabbits asked the raccoon, and he didn't know either. So the raccoon asked the fox, and the fox asked the dog. The dog said that he would ask Farmer Pig. Finally, the dog told the fox, who told the raccoon, who told the rabbits, who told Purdy Peacock what Farmer Pig had said. Farmer Pig told the dog that he had put some liquid on his cornfield to kill the weeds. Purdy Peacock talked to Farmer Pig and told him how his garden and flowers were all turning an ugly color of brown and that everything was beginning to die. He also told Farmer Pig that his family's babies had died in their eggs and did not hatch. Farmer Pig said that the wind must have carried his weed-killing liquid onto Purdy's farm, and that is why the flowers, trees, and garden were dying. He said that the liquid must have also killed their babies. Farmer Pig told Purdy that he was so sorry that his weed-killing liquid had gotten onto Purdy's farm and killed their babies. He was also sorry that his garden, fruit trees, and flowers were dying too. He promised not to let that happen again and would be more careful next time. Purdy Peacock and his family was running out of food to eat. Now that everything was dying, there would not be enough food to feed his family during the long, cold winter. What was he going to do? Farmer Pig felt so badly that he brought some of his corn to Purdy Peacock so Purdy and his family would have enough food to eat for the winter. He said that he would also bring flower seeds and would help Purdy and his family plant new trees and garden to make up for his mistake. Purdy and his family was grateful for Farmer Pig's kindness and for his promise. Farmer Pig kept his promise and brought seeds and trees and helped Purdy and his family plant new fruit trees, flowers, garden, and flowering bushes. Farmer Pig's mistake had cost Purdy's family a lot of work and time. It took a few years until Purdy's farm was beautiful again. But finally, Purdy's farm was once again pretty and green, and the pretty colorful flowers and bushes had grown, and the fruit trees were producing juicy red cherries, orange fuzzy peaches, and bright red and golden yellow delicious apples. The fruit from the mulberry tree was a deep purple color and tasted delicious. Purdy's garden was growing well, and his family had plenty of cabbages, tomatoes, strawberries, potatoes, and lots more to eat during the long, cold winters. At last, Purdy could once again enjoy his breakfast of mulberries and lunch in the garden and fruit orchard. He could also take a nap in his beautiful, colorful garden. The flowers were colors of red, pink, yellow, orange, and purple, and would move in the gentle breeze, and Purdy would fall asleep. He was once again dreaming about his pretty, green, and colorful farm.